Alright, welcome back. We're nearly done. It's time to tackle the fourth of the original Ages of Myst. This is one of the most fascinating and equally one of the most frustrating of the ages, I think, because getting in and out of it is probably the most long involved process of all of them. And the journal for this age, which also includes a rather nice map, also includes an important part of the key process of getting access to it, is this sort of piano keyboard, which these numbers indicate what sequence you push them in, and then I usually write it down based on counting the white keys from left to right or the black keys from left to right. So the first key you hit is white 5. This is the fifth white key, and the second one, the third one is 10 black, for example. But that's up to you how you do that. But you will want to make a note of these, so just pause this and have a look at that. But what it comes down to, of course, is the tower rotation. So there's obviously this is again is one of the rather strange things about Myst that's kind of an unavoidable flaw, really, but it is arguably a flaw, which is that Atris talked about hiding the books in the places of protection. It's a little strange to note that there only seem to be 4 places of protection themed around the ages that are hidden in them. There don't seem to be enough places of protection for the number of books represented in his library, which is a little silly, but anyway, no big deal. But it's just process of elimination. There's that one, and the only other marker switch we haven't thrown is this one. So we've got, I tell a lie. We've thrown. We didn't throw the marker switch by the pool either, but because some of the marker switches, not all the marker switches, activate something that engages with the tower rotation, as we'll see. But just in case we're not sure which ones are, it pays to turn them all on. So there we go. So it's engaging with the rocket ship. All right, one last time. There we're looking at the spaceship. I love it. It's one of my favorite of the sort of steampunk elements of this environment is that rocket ship, and it's just the coolest thing. I remember early on when we started playing the game, I was wondering whether Myst had been struck by some sort of cataclysm on the cusp of achieving space travel or something. But that was one of my early theories when I played the game. So ironically, given how complicated I keep saying getting into this age is going to be, the clue for getting into it is oddly one of the simplest: 59 volts. So 59 volts. Where do we have 59 volts? Well, let's have a look. Now, of course, part of exploring the worlds of Myst is sort of a process of elimination. Just ask yourself, where have you not been yet? And that pretty much adds up to here on Myst Island itself. All right, so where are we? Alright, so this looks suspiciously like a generator room. And there's a little instruction up here you need to look at. So you have power and power to ship. I don't know why it says it in the original game. Again, they had to rebuild this, I guess, but it said power to spaceship. I don't know why they took the space bit off, but whatever. And then the generator switches. Now this is where things get a little complicated, especially if, like me, you're not very good at mathematics. So, you know, they were numbered 1 to 10. That's fine, there's 10 of them, but if you note, that one's 10 volts. That one's 7 volts, and then just for giggles, this one's 19 volts. So there's a different, I'm sure there might actually be a pattern to how they're all organized, but I've never been able to figure out what it is. So it's a question of arithmetic, is figure out what switches produce what amount of voltage, and then try to switch them on in a sequence that adds up to 59. So just fair warning, and if you go under 59 volts and you go to the spaceship, it'll make a sort of you know, wonky machine noise and not do anything when you try to open the door. And just in case you need it, I don't know what happened there. If you accidentally go over 59 volts, so the power to spaceship suddenly goes to 0, and we're actually at 66 volts now. And so what you want to do is turn it off, or at least turn it down to below 59 again, so you don't. I think this one's broken. Okay, if you don't turn it off completely, at least turn it to below 59 volts, and then you go here, and this is again one of those things that took forever to figure out because it was sufficiently far off the beaten path. But you'll notice that the power line running from the sort of generator bunker to the spaceship, the pile that it's on has a ladder. So you get up on that, and this is a breaker switch. So you just have to throw that once, you hear that sort of chunk noise. I don't know why it's so slow getting you on and off there, but anyway. And now that you've done that, it should be able to get power to the spaceship again. Alright, so I'll hand it to you at this point, which the sequence you want to use is, or at least one of the sequences you can use, depending on your skill at arithmetic. You may be able to come up with a few different variations. So we just click on that to engage with the controls. And as I say, the 1 volt button appears to be a bit sticky. I don't know what's wrong there, but so just watch carefully. $59 volts. There we go. So that's the sequence you want to use. So we just leave that to run. All aboard. A comfortable little spaceship, and certainly tricked out in that it appears to have a pipe organ. Right. So this comes back to the puzzle that we saw earlier of, that we saw described in the journal for the Age, which is the organ or piano keyboard. So so for example, the first in the sequence labeled on the keyboard in the journal was the 5th white key from the left. So you just count them along: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, there you go. So again, this is a difficult puzzle to get the hang of if you are if you're tone deaf, but I usually find it's good policy to hum along to get an idea of the tone. And once you got it, you go over here. So this is very much an exercise in trial and error. You're gonna that sounds about right. You're going to have to muddle through this a fair bit. So I tell you what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to switch my microphone off while I'm doing this, and so that I can concentrate, and so you can hear all of the different sounds. But this is going to take this is probably going to take a while. Fair cop. All right. So see you on the other side. Alright, so that was my first stab at it, and again, it may need some finessing. Again, this is one of the times when the new version of the game is kind of a drawback, in that you have to go through the process of clicking on the controls at either end to sort of get locked into the right position to operate them. So just to take you through it once more, the sequence for the keys is the 5th white key from the left, the 12th white key from the left, the 10th black key from the left, the 8th white key, and the 3rd black key. So that is, and then it's just a question of adjusting these sliders, and it's kind of annoying because every time you click on one of them to adjust it, it tends to jump slightly from whatever position it was in to match up with where your cursor is. It's hard to finesse. So all you have to do now to see whether it worked is pull the lever. And and I got it on the first try. I cannot tell you how rarely that happens to me. So, alrighty. There, this is an unusual take on it. This is, I said, this age is unique, not least of which in getting to it, because the book is apparently in there, but this is actually a cool way, especially if you like rocket punk or science fiction. Then this is kind of a cool way to get introduced to it. All right, so brace yourselves, because it's going to be a while before we can get out of here. Here we go. All right, welcome to the other side. This is the Selenetic Age, and it's foggy on all the Ages of Myst, but this is by far the foggiest. It's fascinating. The Selenetic, incidentally, if you don't know, means moon-like, and it certainly does look the part. And it's described in the journal how that back in the library, the journal there, how that came about. Now, this is going to be another age where listening is really critical. So we start as we mean to go on with that business with the organ. But what you'll start to let's take a walk over here. Oh, look, a volcano. Alright. And you will notice that there is an old-style microphone hanging over the lava pit. So and a transmitting dish, so this will all come together presently, but just hit that button, and we've turned it on. So you can go down and explore more. This clock's seen better days, hasn't it? Like I said, if you turn something on, that's always counts as progress. Note also off in the fog there, this sort of antenna tower thing. Now, I have to say, again, this is another one of those situations where the new version of the game is kind of working for us, because in the original version of the game, because of your limited field of vision, just because you can only point in one direction and you didn't have this ability to pan, it wasn't always easy to figure out where you could go, as in the case in Stone Ship, where you couldn't always see the passageway leading down to Akonar's creepy chamber. This pathway to this little oasis was not always easy to see. It's much easier to detect now. And it's got this lovely little, and oh, there's the blue page. I'll just leave it to lie for the moment. But there's another significant thing about this age which makes it unusual is that, and the reason I made one of the reasons I went to mechanical first was to make the point that this is the only age which does not have anyone, which never had anyone living in it, and that's stated directly in the journal for it. But it's unusual in that regard, and it also has, as a result, there's no rooms for Cirrus and Akonar to live in. So it breaks. This is sort of I've noticed this is kind of a fascinating sight and sound. It sort of breaks the pattern, and I think this seems to be typical of Cyan's and the Miller Brothers' design philosophy. Is that if you set up a pattern as a particular motif, you break it. You're obliged to break it at least once. So there's the red page, and we're just sort of lying there in this age. They actually flutter around in the breeze a little bit in this version of the game, which is kind of cool. This sort of urn thing is going to be useful later, as we'll see. And the sky's turning pink. It's must be sunset. It's hard to tell in all this fog, but I guess there was a pier there, but not anymore. And another transmitter activated. Alright, so what does it all mean? So, we keep following our path here. come to this passageway, which looks like it's been dug right under the sea. Can't see a blessed thing, so let's turn the lights on. And there's bats. That is so cool. That, again, you did not have in the original game. There were no bats. I think that's an absolutely brilliant touch. Alright, so we come to the other end here, and up we go. And, ooh, very dramatic sky. Alright, so where are we? Well, we're at that antenna tower that we noticed through the mist. It's off the island, so we actually came in a tunnel under the sea, if you can imagine it. And what to do? Alright, so there's the shutters open. Okay, so what we have here is, you notice down here there's all of the symbols that we noted associated with different sounds. So as we use these arrows, you can scan in either direction across the horizon, basically. And as we start to see, there you can spot areas of the island we've been to, and sometimes those urns are helpful because they mark out something that's covered by, got a hillside in the way, let's say. I'm just going to keep panning along here. There's that sort of doorway that we passed on the way off the rocket ship platform. There's the forest. Now this is the symbol for the running water, which you'll remember was over in the forest. And that so we can see the trees from that area there. Alright, now can you hear that? You can hear the sound of the running water, but it's still there's still a lot of interference. Now notice that the left arrow is flickering a little bit. That means, there we go. So it means when it's flickering, it means you're close, and so you click a bit over, it goes dark, and now you can hear this. Now listen, you can hear the running water with no interference at all. So just leave that as is. All right, so we start over again. Stormy weather. So the moment all of the receiver dishes that we're orienting here are just randomly off their proper line of sight. But okay, well, the volcano is easy enough to see because it's glowing. But that's the crack in the ground with the heat coming out. So that's the volcano symbol. So you can see it's blinking. So we got a ways to go, and it'll blink. The closer we are, the faster it blinks. So we're getting hot. There we go. So now we're locked on to that sound. And the clock was a bit of a weird one, just because it's the only noise that isn't technically natural to this age, which is kind of funny. But it is, however, the easiest to find. Whoops. You know what I did? I right-clicked and accidentally disengaged too soon. But that's okay. It remembers. All right. So now it's just barely flickering. So we're nearly there. There we go. And that broken clock noise is coming through. All right. Because you got to wonder if it was always broken, since that seems to be the sound we're relying on. All right. So scan again. Mostly getting hillside here, but it's all right. Alright, so that one is the sort of obelisk-shaped crystals. Well, they're easy to see. And again, what you're aiming for is that urn. That'll help orient you. Helps see where you are. Well, in fact, you're aiming for the antenna tower, but the urn sort of helps you see it. There we go. Locked on again. So you can already sort of see that there's the two, well, there's four of them. In fact, the little points marking out the center lines of the screen, so that gives you something to aim for. All right, so the wind tunnel, which you remember is also the tunnel we came in by to this tower, is a little further afield. But again, there we go. No, we're nearly there. Hey, all right, so we're locked on all the sounds. Okay, so what? So we've got one more button to experiment with, this one down here. So hit that and see what happens. Alright, so it just ran through that sequence, so let's do that once more. Because it didn't do them in left to right order, it did them in a specific order. So the crystals, the water, the wind, the volcano, and the clock. Alright, so we've got a sequence there. And sequences in this game usually mean combination locks, as you may have noticed. So there's clearly one more element that we're looking for. That island is tiny, so it's probably not there. I don't think the bats know where it is. Let's just move along. It's a little unclear how to get onto the ladder sometimes. Sorry about that. Like I said, it's the one downside with this movement control is that sometimes you have to hit certain aspects of the environment just right for what you need to happen. So that can, hence my occasional getting caught in the door frames that you may have noticed. Alright. So all these places we've been. And this door, which we passed on the way to the on the way from the rocket ship where we appeared. And so let's have a look. So it's a locked door. Alright, so what do we got here? It's a little like you hear the wind sound? I don't know what in the world that is. The steam whistle. Meteors. Something getting torn. But there's the crystal. There's the volcano. There's the clock. There's a car accident. There's the running water. So this is one of the cleverer ones in that it's got all of the sound effects you encounter on the island plus a couple of red herrings. But you've been given at the tower the sequence you want to use. So crystals was first. Water, wind, okay, it's already there. Lava. And, yep, that's the clock. Alright, so plug it in. And we've opened another door. So we've got the red page, and now we've got our way out of here, which is this thing. That's a cool little contraption, isn't it? Alright, so climb aboard. Alright, so easy enough. Forward. Notice that we're also getting the what direction we're facing given to us on the left-hand side, or right-hand, pardon me, side of the console. Okay, so here's our track system, and this is principally what I was talking about when I said that the Selenetic Age could be supremely aggravating, because obviously we had getting into it is awfully complicated. Getting out of it is at least as complicated, because you have a sort of a maze you have to navigate. Now there are a couple of things that you can do to make this somewhat easier, not least of which is, this is why I took us to the Mechanical Age first, was because it uses the same sound effects to indicate direction that Mechanical Age does. So if you need a reminder, that'll tell you what direction you're supposed to be going, and it's that plink, which means north. Well, we're already facing north. So Alright, now we got that little trill sound. Like that. So that means we want to go west. Alright, there's west. Yeehaw, it's a bit of a roller coaster. I always find it a little bit... we don't want to go north again. I always found it a little silly. This is one of those little things that kind of throws you out of the moment. Sometimes is that if you read the descriptions, is like Atris is meant to have built a lot of the machines and devices and puzzles in the Ages of Myst pretty much on his own, or with the help of his sons Cirrus and Achenar. But this is Selenetic Age is the one that kind of throws me out of that sometimes, because it's hard to imagine one guy being able to build all this. But never mind. So the other way you can work out where to go if you haven't been to if you haven't been to Mechanical Age yet, is just you work it out by trial and error, by looking at what direction did you come from, and so that way will be open, and then the only other one that is open will be the way you want to go. All the wrong ways, as you may have noticed, have blocks on them. That, however, gets a little harder later, because the path will actually curve on a couple of occasions as you go along. So you got to really be watching which way you're going, and a couple of them, as you see, are false paths. So the north way was open, but we just got the sound effect to go east. So far we've gone north, then west, then north, then east. Now east again. Well, that's the sort of bonk noise for south, so we want to go south. The other way you can do it is with the pencil and paper method, like you would do if you were playing, a tabletop role-playing game. Which, again, it's a long, involved process, but it's a good problem-solving exercise. This is an early example of some curves in the road, but not too bad. What I mean, okay, so that was the bonk for south again. What I mean by curves in the road is that for every little crossroads that you arrive in, the direction you started out from may not be the direction you arrive from, because you've turned halfway through. So that can make it a little confusing where to eliminate the wrong paths. And if you go down the wrong path, you'll just end up with going back the way you came as your only option, at which point you just hit backtrack. And it will take you in reverse, back the way you came. And just so that you don't have to constantly turn around the directions in your head because you had to do a 180 to get where you were going. So again, this is west. So unless I sort of took the long way around to that. And then as we get to sites where, this is an example of what I was talking about, where the direction is, say, southwest or southeast, you'll get a combination of the two. So that was southwest, so it had both the trill of west and the bonk of south kind of superimposed on one another. Alright, so now it's just regular west. Whoops, wrong way. The trial and error is okay, but as I say, there's obviously a couple of red herring passages that you can get lost down. You won't, they only go one, okay, that was plink and trill, so we want to go northwest. You won't get led down 3 red herring passages to a dead end. It's like there's only one jump to one of the dead ends that you can make. So it's not going to try to get you lost forever. That would just be mean. So now we're going northwest, at least to start with. Alright, so plink and gasp, so this time we want to go northeast. Alright, plain old plink, so we want to go north. Ooh, leaning into it there. It's quite the roller coaster, really. Alright, bonk and gasp, so this time we want to go southeast. Alright, this is the last jump. As you see. Suddenly the environment changes a little bit, and the sound background, we're in a smaller space now. And here we are. So, now we get. So this is where the Selenetic Age, as cool and beautiful and kind of clever as it is, with the steampunk aesthetic really taken up to 11 in this this setting, and the sound puzzle, which is quite different from any of the other puzzles in this game. It does come with the downside that getting into it is a headache, although the good news is you don't have to redo the music combination again. You just go in and pull the lever. But you do have to go through that entire roller coaster ride to get in a second time to retrieve the blue page. So that is kind of too bad. But the good news is I am going to go back to Selenetic and get the blue page, and then we can come back and then we're nearly there, folks. We're nearly there. So join me next time, and we'll see where the grand finale takes us.